Hello and welcome along to the pilot episode of Where's My Kit Bag, a brand new podcast here from your three technicians. Myself, James.
It's me, Will Devereaux.
And lastly, Steve.
So, this podcast is basically been designed for what reason, guys?
Well, I think we kind of wanted some output onto YouTube or whatever platform we decide to put this on, where we can just kind of talk about what's happened recently in the news, keep people up to date. Obviously the people want to hear more from us, so we thought, well, give them what they want, really.
Yeah, and it works because it means we can recap stuff that's happening in the week, whether that be around the college in our department. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is our YouTube channel, the TechNet YouTube channel, but we can also cover stuff around the world in the camera, film, radio industry. So just basically a diverse spectrum of subjects that we can cover that hopefully students and beyond will be really interested by.
That's the hope. That's
Hopefully.
The dream.
Like aliens, are we talking about? Like beyond?
Extraterrestrial ambition.
Like
there.
Buzz Lightyear kind of stuff?
Well, talking about aliens, this second man-made object has left our solar system, Voyager 1. Now, actually, no, Voyager 2 has now left the solar system. There you go, fun fact.
The more you know.
Yeah, there you go. We'll add a space section in where I just catch you up on where's Voyager 1 this week. It's far out. It's way past Pluto.
Far out, dude.
Totally.
It's the aliens from Toy Story.
Oh, right.
That's what it is. That's what they're finding. But yeah, first up, obviously looking at our TechNet YouTube channel, obviously we've got our brand new video coming out, or has come out, depending when this comes out, because we're not quite sure yet what day we're going to release this on. So this is either future or past. Steve, this was your little baby.
Yeah. So
Tell us more.
I had a little idea, which I pitched to both the two technicians and a few members of staff, all of which grew a massive smile and said, yes, do it. So we started the TechNet YouTube channel. Some of you might have seen a few of the videos.
About 5.
Yeah, about 5. Yeah.
Five students.
5 students, yeah. And we're basically making it a bit more interactive. So what's the one thing you do when you can't find something, whether that be in editing or in just general life? Most of the time, the current generation will just Google it. So why don't we be the source that they go to when they find something out? Hence why we made the TechNet YouTube. But not many people, as Will said, know about it. So I thought, let's do something that's a bit out there, a bit of fun that we can do to attract a bit of attention to the YouTube channel. So what I decided would be a good idea is just pick one of the topics that we were going to cover, and we picked the Canon 50mm 1.8 review. And I thought it would be good fun if we made a tele shopping kind of spin-off, as simple as that as it begun. However, it spiraled out of control to what some of you may have already seen or heard about. I mean, I'm going to pass off to Dev. How did it start to spiral out of control?
I mean, it kind of went from one stage to another, really. We set up in the studio. We got the nice bit of lighting set up. And then I remember you bringing in a pack of mustaches. And we opened it. We put them out. And we're just like, there's 8 mustaches on the table. We've got to wear them now. So, we tried them on, swapped them around a little bit. Got cozy with them. Oh, that works. And then I think once we found, the one, that's where we found our characters, and it kind of built from there, really. We each kind of developed our own persona, then we started recruiting more people. We ended up getting Bale in there. Dan joined in as well. Some of the mustaches ended up on the backdrop, if I remember. And then I think that's when it got to the edit. That's when it really started picking up steam in the meme department.
Yeah, because originally I was in Poundland in Guildford, and I saw the mustaches, and I thought, this is perfect. We're doing a 90s retro tele shopping video about the Canon 50mm 1.8. And then these accents came out of all 4 of us that were just amazing. And
Mind you, we didn't have any direction for what accents we wanted to do, or even if they are accents.
We had a very brief script of the overview of the lens and what we wanted to get across, and we all read our lines in very, very different ways from all walks of life with our accent. It was quite something.
It was. I was having a bit of a stressful day, and then I see the beaming lights of Steve and Dev walk out of that studio and go, "Bale, we need you." I'm like, "Oh no, what do you want?" And then this happened, and then I walked out with a big beaming smile on my face. So it definitely brightened my day. So hopefully it will brighten all your days when you have or haven't seen it yet already. in the future past.
Yeah, because we don't want to spoil it either. If you haven't
No.
seen it,
Yeah,
go and
exactly.
tune
Yeah.
in. Definitely
It's
go
worth-
and watch it because
Subscribe.
we don't want to tell you what happens in it. Just go and watch it and Merry Christmas.
For those that do want to subscribe, Dev, where do they need to go?
I'm not too sure. I believe you just type in TechNet to YouTube. It will be somewhere on the, maybe top first 8 pages. I'm joking. No, we're about the third one down. You can go down there. You can watch some of the videos we've put out. We've got actually quite a lot on there at the moment now. I think we're up to probably about 10 videos. Some of them are pretty informational, I think. We've tried.
We're actually the second one, just saying. I've typed in the word TechNet, all one word, and we are the second one.
How many subscribers are we on currently?
16. We have
1,600 was that?
Yeah,
So-
1,600.
Okay.
We are so popular. We've got 10 videos in total, actually.
Oh, look
so
at
far.
that. See?
Nice.
Look at that.
Not bad knowledge.
Amazing.
They're pretty informative. At least, like we said, we tried to make them. Hopefully, they're a good watch, and we'll try and keep making them. Really, we enjoy making them. We hope you enjoy watching them after you've watched that one. And just like if you let us know in the comments if there's videos you guys would like to know more about, or if you've seen maybe other YouTubers try to explain something but it's been a bit too complicated. We can always give it a go, try and explaining it at a point where it's kind of a bit more understandable for a college level student, basically. So always let us know.
Absolutely. Like, one of the cool things about it is we made the list of subjects to do with the videos, and it was all to do with how often students will come and ask us specific things, and that's what we tried to cater for with the videos. So it's very much via student demand will these videos come out. So a good example we did was the track extension. It's a simple, very, very simple technique, but say 6-7 students need to do it. That's a long period of time to show each student individually. But because we've got this YouTube video that covers it, it's nice there. It's really entertaining, really easy to use, and it's always there. Sometimes I know a lot of students, especially around deadline period, see that the technicians are busy, and there'll be some of them are too scared to ask. That way, they can just jump on the TechNet YouTube. There it is, ready to go in a couple of minutes.
They got their own little personal technician.
Exactly.
Genius. What a brilliant idea, isn't it? Lovely. Right. So moving on from that, Mr. Devro has found some brand new tech in the world of cameras in the form of the DJI Osmo Pocket.
Now,
Mr. Will Devro.
Yeah, this thing is kind of unbelievable. I think me and Steve have kind of been looking at it this week, trying to comprehend what it does, how it does it for its size. It's basically sort of half the size of your standard ruler, so about 15 centimeters tall. And on top of it, it has this tiny, like, drone-like camera, three stabilized gimbal on top. It looks like they're going for the sort of GoPro market audience. This thing can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, so you can do slow motion off it. It also shoots 1080p at 60 frames per second too. It's got a touch screen on the back. You can shoot in time-lapse mode. It's got like a 5-hour battery life. It's ticking a lot of boxes. There's been quite a big kick up on YouTube. Lots and lots of tech YouTubers getting their hands on it on like pre-production models. Been raving about it so far at the moment. Me and Steve watched a comparison video, which was really interesting, by Casey Neistat on the Osmo Pocket and the new GoPro Hero 7, which has the Hyper Smooth feature. It was really interesting to see the difference between like electronics video stabilization and then obviously with a gimbal that's you're physically stabilizing the lens. And it was a pretty clear winner, to be honest. The Osmo was amazing. The image quality, DJI are pretty much renowned for their image quality out of their small sensors. Is this a bit of kit we can get in the future for the department? That's sort of my next question. What do you guys think?
It has the potential. I mean, one of the things that I really took from the Casey Neistat video was the fact that it doesn't look like a fisheye GoPro. It's a nice flat lens in the small camera, and it looks incredible. I mean, if you go and look at the Casey Neistat comparison, he literally he's on his skateboard and he gets the is it the skyline of New York, and it looks amazing on the Osmo. And what is to say that students can't incorporate that steady 4K if they really wanted to image into their work, especially students that can't drive and can't carry all the kit that they want to. This literally can fit in your pocket. it's that incredible and can achieve unbelievable results. I mean, yeah, it's very much an impressive bit of kit.
I think something that's really impressive with it as well is that DJI have developed a mobile app for it too. So if you're out and about, you can sign into it on your phone, and then you get access to a whole heap of pro features, including like controlling ISO, shutter speed, frame rates, all that sort of stuff. You can control just completely detached from it. So you can have the Osmo Pocket sitting in one place. You can control it from your phone from a completely remote location if you want to. It's also got things like active track on it. So if there's a subject walking in front of you, you can click on them on the touchscreen on the back, and it will follow them on your gimbal, even if you're moving around the subject. So if you're rotating around them, or if they're rotating around you, it really doesn't matter. It seems to just track it wherever it goes, which is pretty impressive, to be honest.
Nice. I mean, I had a quick look when Will found it, and his face said it all with what he thought of it. But coming in at the sort of sub £400 mark, the kind of like 350 mark, it's definitely a DSLR competitor for that kind of easy, slightly cheap, affordable 1080p 4K filming machine.
I mean, I think it's amazing that we can have access to 4K 60 at that price point now. It's something that you can fit in the palm of your hand. That's
something that
crazy.
stabilizes itself, and you don't need like extra shoulder mounts, you don't need like fig rigs, don't anything else with that. Does it built in with its own gimbal. Obviously I've no idea what the battery life is on it, but you can, I'm assuming, plug in your own power pack
from
to keep
what
it
I've
running
seen
longer.
in reviews. People have been using it half a day and haven't had any issues, and like you said, you can plug in external power.
Keep going all day and night.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
There is one minor criticism that I have of it, but it is not for its intended purpose. The onboard mic for both the GoPro and the Osmo Pocket are not very good. They're quite tinny.
Yeah, it's because they're tiny. They
Absolutely.
are literally like pointless.
I was saying to Will the other day, I think it's for its first generation of what it is, it's unbelievable. Imagine its second series of the Osmo Pocket will have something, even if it's able to plug in some sort of external mic so you can have the best of both. Amazing, because obviously it's such a small device. If you want to be, say, the Casey Neistat vlogger, where you just want to throw it all on auto and let it do its thing, but you need that sound quality, that would be something to consider. But if we have to find a negative, it's obviously sound. But as you quite rightly said, it's with something so small, what do you expect?
I think they are appealing to different markets. Yes, people are comparing it to the GoPro, but I think the GoPros, they hold that sports market down to a T. They come in the waterproof case. So many people already have GoPro mounts attached to their bikes, helmets, you name it, cars or whatever. They've got it all covered. So I think smartly, they've not done any accessories to make it look quite like an action cam. They've included a few features in it, one like the field of view feature, FOV, where it'll kind of lock in rotation position. So even if you are on a bike, you get more of that GoPro kind of look and feel. It kind of simulates that, which is pretty impressive too.
Absolutely. Now, Steve, I've got a note here saying you love your new monopod.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Tell us a little bit more.
So basically, I've been expanding my own little arsenal of kit. And I was like, I've got my tripod, and the tripod does the job. And I wasn't, at that current moment, in the market for a gimbal. Mainly through, expenses and price. And I stumbled across monopods, and I thought, okay, how can I incorporate this to be cinematic? Because a lot of the time, it's just you pop it down the floor, and it keeps your shot stables. But my monopod I got from Amazon for £43. It's a third-party fluid head one. I mean, if any of you out there are in the market for it and that's your price range, come and find me and I'll let you know what it is. But it's a fluid head monopod. It's got 4 feet at the bottom. And the fantastic thing about it is it has a ball bearing at the base. So you can lean left and right and back and forward, and its feet stay flat. And the good thing with that, with a fluid head, means you can get these really cinematic crane shots that are nice and still. Say you're not fortunate enough to have any image stabilization, which at the time of one of the things I shot, I had a Canon 80D, which is not stabilized, with a 50mm lens, a 50mm 1.8, funnily enough, again, not stabilized, and managed to get these really nice, smooth, cinematic shots with a monopod. And the great thing about it as well is it can be a budget Steadicam. If you find with your two fingers, if you find the balancing point down the let's say the neck of the monopod, if you can find that balancing point, it will stay relatively stable. Obviously, it's not going to achieve the perfect results, but to get that nice steady shot as you're walking, it does the job. It's nice and small. You can just plot it down wherever you like. I mean, it is now always going to be in my kit bag. I mean, I'm working on a documentary at the moment, and it's a sports documentary, and I had a gimbal with me, a Fairytech A2000 gimbal. It didn't come out of its case. I ended up using the monopod the whole time because it was so smooth. I ended up I used half of the monopod and digged the feet into my hip, and that made it very nice and smooth. And it is a lovely bit of kit. Really, really cool. I'd love to upgrade to a Manfrotto one as and when the time comes, because its only criticism is, unfortunately, because of the ball bearing at the bottom, you have to twist it to the right to loosen it. And that means if you pan to the right, it doesn't activate the fluid head monopod and just unscrews the ball bearing. So it means that the whole monopod itself will unscrew, which means you don't have that freedom of the fluid head. However, it's not going to be perfect for £40, but you just have to practice with your tools, and that's where you get the best out of it. And
so would you say that's helped you get some shots you physically couldn't get with a tripod?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's quite interesting.
Well, that I couldn't do safely with a tripod.
Okay.
I mean, I could
that's the key
take
bit,
one of, use two legs and just lean it forward. But the great thing about the 4 feet that are sticking out the bottom of the monopod is you can use it as a kind of a catch. So I put my foot on one of the feet, and when it's hit its peak, in regards to once I've tilted it as far as the ball bearing will go, I'll feel the pressure on my foot. So I was using a tripod, for example, that's a lot more dangerous, especially you're in a woodland area and there's loads of bark on the floor. That's going to slip from underneath it. So you're using a £2,000 Sony, you don't want to take that risk. So you have a bit more stability and control. That's the most important thing. You have more control than using something like a tripod with those movement kind of cinematic crane style shots, which is really, really cool. Really cool.
I'm quite interested because I've seen some people take that sort of like monopod style and then almost have like a sling round their neck as well, and they've kind of used that as a replacement for a shoulder rig. And I think previously people have been using the fig rigs and the shoulder rigs, to pretty good effect. But I think slowly as the years go on and we start to see people's techniques develops and like new styles come out, they're not really cutting it anymore. In the end of the day, it's a bit of metal just attaching the camera to you, really. I think the shoulder rig comes in slightly more useful just purely because it's got the 3 points of contact, but might be worth looking into that sort of like monopod shoulder rig sort of style.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing for me is, as you quite rightly said in that one sentence, was it's just a bit of metal that attaches to you, and there is no right or wrong answer. I mean, I get good results of a shoulder rig, I get good results of a tripod. My personal preference, and that's it, it's my personal preference, is the monopod for its versatility. There's nothing better or worse than, say, as you say, a monopod or a shoulder rig. It just does the right job for me, and that's the most important thing. You're not going to have, say, a carpenter using specific drills and hammers and stuff and say that is specifically better. They have their preference. Filmmaking is exactly the same. You're going to get that same result. It's the tools that work for you, and that's really, really important, I feel personally.
Cool. Well, Steve, excellent bit of kit there. Last but by no means least is, obviously, we are a media and film department, so of course we all like our films. Now, Steve,
hello,
back to you, my friend.
Again.
Actually, and Will, because I think you've also seen this.
I have.
Which is the film A Quiet Place. Obviously came out this year with John Krasinski and his wife Emily Blunt in it. Now, I've not seen this film. I know about it. I kind of roughly know the plot. But for those not in the know, is it worth a watch, Steve and Will?
Oh, absolutely. So I'd heard a lot about this film. I saw the trailer last year, and I thought, wow, okay, this is something to definitely get on board with. I am a big, big horror buff. I love my horror films. And over the weekend, I was with my girlfriend at the time. I was like, okay, let's watch something. We went out, we bought A Quiet Place, and I was not disappointed. Technically, on the technical side of filmmaking, as we all do when we get into the industry, we really critique that side of it. I thought it was really impressive, the use of sound and cinematography, how they played together really well. Obviously, we're not a spoiling podcast. I didn't want to talk after the film. The film ended. I didn't want to say anything.
I had that exact same reaction.
And I think if a film does that, it's done something right. Obviously, I'm not going to go too deep into the story.
Of course.
It was a good...
Don't want to spoil it for me, Steve.
Absolutely not. It was a good film, and I think it was... the story itself is very interesting, as in that world and the type of challenges that humans face post-apocalyptic. And it was nice to focus on a small family, and it bode questions about what's happening elsewhere in, say, bigger cities, for example, which was really, really interesting. It's why, obviously going slightly off topic, like the Purge films are quite interesting because they can make as many as they want because they can keep making scenarios throughout the whole of the US. I think this is cool because it focuses on a small family. It's not a spoiler, but one of the family members is deaf. She's a deaf girl, and it's really interesting how it focuses on how she deals with that struggle because, again, not a spoiler, it says it very much in the trailer, the monsters that they're running from have ultra-sensitive hearing, so they have to adapt to that. And I think it's really, really cool how they show the viewer her point of view. And it's
I think it was just really nice to watch something where the audience are told to listen to the sound, and in a way of where sometimes there isn't any. It's quite obvious that quite often we take it for granted. It's not until you hear some like incredible music score that you kind of pick up on it. It is there to kind of immerse you, and a lot of the time in that film when there was nothing at all, that's when you felt most immersed. You look around you, everybody was clenching their seats because they don't want to be the first one to make the sound. It was really, really interesting sort of atmosphere. I was lucky enough to watch it in the cinema. I was actually in Cardiff at the time when it was released, and we decided to watch it at a local Odeon there. Unfortunately, Dwayne Johnson's film had just come out, the one where I can't quite remember what it was called, where he's fighting all the monsters.
Is it Rampage?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Rampage with a giant white
that was
gorilla. Yeah.
So we'd be in this really intense moment, and then just from the screen next to us, you hear this giant roar of this gorilla attacking. Yeah,
that is a mood.
It killed
killer.
it a little bit for me. I'm not gonna lie. It was a bit painful at sometimes, especially when you hear like Dwayne Johnson delivering his mega one-liners in the midst of this dead silent film. But the atmosphere it built, even with that going on next door, was still incredible. And like Steve said, when people came out, there was this weird aura. Like everybody kind of believed it at one point. I think it definitely did suffer for some like big plot holes for me.
I agree.
That took me out of it a little bit. I got to the end of the film and you kind of think, well, why didn't they just do that in the first place?
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, a few moments like that for me.
And logistically, I would have thought that they tell the story over a certain amount of days, and I personally thought with the situation that they are in, it was questionable that they would have lasted that long. Again, not going to go into spoilers. One thing that I did find impressive when with you talking about Rampage being next door, but you might find interesting, Bale, with the sound was when we were in the point of view of the girl with the hearing impairment, usually there'd be some sort of sound score there. The thing that I found really impressive is they cut all sound.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was pure silence, which was really strange.
That's very interesting.
Usually there's something, isn't there? Usually like a hiss or is it white noise that they sometimes
the kind of white noise hum.
There was nothing. And that's what I found was it's a
that's
bold
what made it
move
effective,
to make. Yeah,
it
was nothing. It was almost like the speakers had broken. Like you could hear people breathing around you. Like obviously I wasn't in the cinema, but I was with people when I was there.
Somebody would rustle their crisps on the aisle next to you, and everybody would turn their head like, oh.
It really made you stop and get freeze where you were in your seat, which is impressive. It was a bold move that I personally felt worked.
I think they did an amazing job with the lighting in that film as well. I think they used lighting to add so much drama and tension. Obviously, when you haven't got that much sound to play with, I think you start picking up on those other micro elements to emphasize the story even more, and that's definitely what they did. They've started about picking out little bits which they could improve, and overall, I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
In the IMDb style of rating, out of 10, what would you give it? And you can go down to
7.5 for me.
Oh, 7.5.
I'd have said a 7.
A 7?
Technically a very, very good film. Story-wise, I think it needed a bit of work.
Okay, so a solid kind of like average of 7.25.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I was more impressed by, I mean, you can never give actors the benefit of the doubt, but John Krasinski, I didn't know he directed it. I knew he was,
I didn't either.
I knew him as, from the US Office as a comedian. And when I looked into it, preparing for the podcast, I was like, wait, he directed this? And he's done a lot of writing, and I thought that was really impressive. And the fact he nails his character makes it, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You wrote this, you know what you're doing. It was really interesting, but a lot of viewers passive viewers aren't really going to kind of care who directed it. Oh, I just went to watch this really cool horror film. It was really impressive from that point of view, myself personally, that somebody who is so known for comedy to then go and, I think, nail a horror, especially as a horror fan. I thought it was pretty interesting.
I'm just going to say the bathtub scene.
Oh, yeah.
For anybody who wants to go watch it.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah, worth a watch, 100%.
Because
Definitely.
with that scene, for example, it's not something conventionally that you would expect in horror. It's something that they've thrown in there as something that can happen in everyday life that you wouldn't think to write into a horror film, but they do because it happens in everyday life. Watch it and you'll understand why.
Well, what I'll do is I'll watch it between now and the next podcast and let you know.
I like that.
That'd be
Let you know what I
interesting.
felt. That could be a regular thing. So that has been the pilot episode of Where's My Kit Bag with our lovely 3 technicians here. If you liked it, obviously please drop a comment. We're not quite sure where we're going to put this. Probably YouTube, maybe SoundCloud as well. So if there's anything you liked, anything you loathed, anything you'd want to add, anything you want to take away, then please let us know, because we're making this for you. You're our audience. You tell us what you want us to talk about and put our sort of funny, mildly amusing twist on it. Otherwise, I've been James.
I've been Will.
And I've been Steve.
And this has been Where's My Kit Bag? Thanks for tuning in to the Where's My Kit Bag podcast here on YouTube or SoundCloud. If you want a certain subject discussed by us, then please feel free to leave a comment in the section below or drop us an email, technet@farnborough.ac.uk.